What happens when an aircraft once on the edge of retirement suddenly becomes one of the most dangerous things in the sky? What if the US took an old Cold War bomber, ripped it apart, loaded it with bleeding-edge tech, and pushed it back into the skies stronger than ever before? And not for testing, but for war games, deterrence, and maybe something much bigger. That's exactly what's happening with the B-1 B-Lancer, nicknamed the Bone. It's no longer just a bomber, it's a beast. But why now? Who's it meant for? And what's the bigger plan? Let's find out. The B-1 B-Lancer was born out of Cold War panic, designed in the late 1970s to strike deep into Soviet territory while dodging radar. With its sleek, aggressive profile and swing wings that could sweep back like a fighter jet, it was built to fly fast in low-hugging terrain to avoid enemy eyes. It could carry more bombs than any aircraft the US had ever flown, up to 75,000 pounds. This thing wasn't just a bomber, it was a war machine built to end wars before they started. When it first entered service in 1986, it was revolutionary. 4 massive General Electric F101-GE-102 engines pushed it to supersonic speeds, while its electronic warfare suite could jam enemy radar systems. It became the backbone of America's non-nuclear strategic bombing force. But the Cold War ended, and with it, the bomber's primary mission. By the 2000s, the B-1B was aging fast. Cracks appeared in its wings. Maintenance became a nightmare. The fleet's readiness rates plummeted below 50%, meaning at any given time, half the B-1Bs couldn't fly. And worse, under the START Treaty, it no longer carried nuclear weapons. It was seen as outdated, outmatched, and too expensive to maintain. In 2021, the Air Force even started retiring some of them, cutting the fleet from 62 down to 45 aircraft. People thought it was done, finished. But what no one expected was that the Pentagon wasn't scrapping the Bone. They were getting ready to turn it into something the world had never seen before. And when they did, they called it BEAST for a reason. As the 2000s rolled in, tensions across the world surged. China started flexing in the Pacific. Russia invaded Ukraine. North Korea began lobbing missiles again. The US needed long-range, flexible strike capability, and they needed it now. But the stealthy B-2s were limited in number. The B-52s, while iconic, are ancient. And the new B-21 Raider, still in development. So the question was, what's available now that can hit hard, fly fast, and send a clear message? The answer surprised everyone: the B-1B. But to make it useful again, it had to change. That's when a group of engineers, tacticians, and aerospace wizards formed a unit at Tinker Air Force Base. Their mission? Reinvent the B-1B from the inside out. They weren't doing patchwork. They were giving it a full-on resurrection. The program: Beast, the B-1 embracing agile scheduling team. Within months, they began rolling out a completely reimagined bomber. One that could talk to satellites, coordinate with drones, and carry some of the heaviest weapons in the world. This wasn't about nostalgia. This was about survival. And suddenly, this so-called antique was looking like a frontline predator again. The first major success of the Beast upgrade was connectivity. The B-1B got Link 16, a high-speed data-sharing system that lets pilots communicate with ships, satellites, ground troops, and drones all at once. Think of it like giving the bomber a brain connected to every other American and allied asset in the battle space. But that was just the beginning. The cockpit was completely redesigned with glass displays replacing analog gauges. Artificial intelligence systems were integrated to help process targeting data faster than any human could. The entire electronic warfare suite was overhauled with next-generation jammers and decoys that can fool even the most advanced air defense systems. On top of that, they upgraded its radar, jamming systems, GPS, and targeting software. It can now identify threats faster, lock on targets more accurately, and avoid enemy radar with even more precision. The defensive systems now include advanced missile warning receivers and countermeasures that can detect and defeat incoming threats before they become lethal. But the most game-changing upgrade? The new LAM pylons load adaptable modular pylons designed by Boeing. These allow the B-1B to carry weapons externally for the first time in decades. The reason that's a big deal is simple. Before this, treaties limited the B-1B's external armament. But that's no longer a factor, and these pylons boost its payload capacity by nearly 50%. In tests at White Sands Missile Range, the modified B-1B successfully carried and simulated deployment of the GBU-72, a 5,000-pound bunker buster meant to crush underground targets. And soon, it'll carry hypersonic missiles up to 12 externally and 24 internally. That's 36 weapons that can reach targets within minutes, traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5. The Bone isn't just back, it's now one of the most heavily armed planes in the sky. And with its upgraded engines providing greater range and fuel efficiency, it can strike targets anywhere on the globe with just one aerial refueling. In early 2025, the upgraded B-1B didn't just sit on a runway or fly test loops over Nevada. The US sent it straight into action operational deployments and joint drills in the Pacific. South Korea, Japan, the Philippines. They all participated in exercises where the B-1B flew, simulated precision strikes alongside fighters and allied bombers. These weren't training exercises for fun. These were designed to make headlines. The aircraft flew at high altitudes, at night, in stealth configurations, practicing multi-mission roles, deep strike, maritime patrol, bunker busting, even missile defense coordination. During Pacific Defender 2025, a beast-upgraded B-1B flew from Guam to the Korean Peninsula in under 4 hours, simulated strikes on mock North Korean missile sites, then immediately redeployed to Japan for a second mission, all without returning to base. The message was clear. Nowhere is beyond reach. In the South China Sea, B-1Bs practiced anti-ship missions, carrying new long-range anti-ship missiles, LRASMs, that can strike vessels from over 300 miles away. They flew alongside carrier-based F-35Cs, demonstrating integrated operations that could overwhelm any defense network. This was a strategic message not just to allies but to adversaries like North Korea and China. And the message was loud and clear. The US still has the reach, the firepower, and the platforms to strike anywhere, anytime. The B-1B, once considered too old and worn out, is now flying faster and smarter than ever before. And the US is making sure the world sees it. Because in a time when wars are starting again and alliances are being tested, nothing speaks louder than a bomber flying overhead with 36 hypersonic missiles on board. The B-1B Lancer's story isn't just a comeback, it's a transformation. A once-forgotten bomber has become a symbol of what happens when innovation meets urgency. With new data systems, smart weapon loadouts, and game-changing modular pylons, the Bone is no longer just flying, it's dominating. But this also raises a serious question. With global tensions growing by the day, is the US preparing this beast for something more? Could we see it in a real conflict sooner than anyone expects? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the Bone is back. And it's not here to play nice. If you found this story wild, let us know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, share it with someone who's into military tech, and smash that subscribe button. Oh, and press the bell icon, because trust me, you're not gonna want to miss what's flying next.